First of all, I'm seeing your lead story here, and I didn't see this, so I don't understand. You wrote, this is Francois Legault in an interview with La Presse, and this is a quote, "I am a resolutely interventionist premier," unquote. C'est quoi ça?
This is trying to justify this economic development plan that he launched this morning. By the way, just before going on, I checked, all the major news websites. It's not even the first story of the day on any of them. And if he was trying to create the same sort of effect that Mark Carney did with his budget last week, let's give it a total fail here. This was a press conference, and that's all it was. Let's face it. Coming out and talking about Hydro-Quebec development plan that is basically 2 years old, and talking about trying to ask the Caisse de dépôt to invest in Quebec companies. Let's be very careful about this, Aaron. If I could take just a few moments.
Yeah.
When you talk about the Caisse de dépôt, you're talking about basically a pension fund. That's what the Caisse de dépôt is. It is not like Investissement Québec or an investment bank. It is a pension fund. And pension funds have very strict rules, especially when handling government money. If there is any type of even suggestion of political involvement in pension funds' decision-making process, then the markets will stop treating it as a pension fund.
Right.
And it's breaking rules. I went through this when I was in the Couillard government and we did the REM and with the case, and it was very, very clear that the case, and it's true with the deal, the REM deal, the case has a guaranteed rate of return on its investment with the REM, which is a minimum of 8%. Okay. It has to make money over the long run. And so to start saying in a press conference, well, I'm going to ask the case to do this, that, and the other thing, a pension fund has a fiduciary and legal obligation to invest pensioners' money in a safe way to generate return. This is not about playing dice the way Legault did with Line Electric or Northvolt, and like it did with Investissement Québec, which it can do. So we have to be very mindful of that, and very, very seriously looking at the next few days, weeks, and months, and also consider that this government, basically, in terms of useful life, it has until the March budget. I was looking at a calendar. I mean, basically, we're a month away from, basically winding things down for the holidays, and so this is seriously nothing more than a press conference and basically a desperate man trying to throw anything at the wall that will try to stick.
Do you think, David, he has a sense? I mean, he reads polls, he reads the papers. Do you think he has a sense of just how bad things are for him going forward?
No, I do not. I mean, I really think you're talking. It's basically a battle between a man and his ego. Being Premier of Quebec, you're talking about this man's ultimate lifelong ambition, and he has, his entire, even in the private sector, his career has always been about doing this. And I truly think that he, like a lot of, artists, politicians, and business people, are so single-minded about, the focus and saying, you know what, everybody else is wrong and I'm right, because that's that attitude that got me where I am today. And so I really think that in his mind he is convinced, and he has a very small group of people that are saying, yes, sir, that in his mind he is convinced that there's a way to turn this around. But again, look at the polls there, and it was the same thing with Quebec Solidaire this weekend. I know we're not going to talk about them, but, issue one for Quebecers for over a year now is affordability. It's cost of living. It's everything having to do with that. Issue 2, issue 3, it's they switch around depending on the polling you look at. It's education and healthcare. And what did this morning talk in any way about making life easier for Quebecers, who are facing, the rent or the mortgage payment or the grocery bill this week or by the end of the month? No, nothing. It's complete disconnection.
All right, let me sticking with provincial politics. Interesting with the PSPP situation, right? Where 2 weeks ago, STM strike, tough luck, you're on your own, got to treat the unions right. To suddenly, you know what? It's time to break up the STM strike. The hell with the unions. So, what's your take on this?
Well, my take on this is that, and I was listening to your conversation with James earlier, and we grew up with the Parti Québécois being very close to the unions, and we have to understand that is done, and it's not a new thing. The Parti Québécois is a center-right to full-on right-wing party now, and also there is also, and you know this, Aaron, we still have these old reflexes that union members are left-leaning. That's not true anymore. Mm-hmm. Look in the U.S. Look at the last federal election. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives won ridings in Ontario that were union household rich. And we're like, what? A Conservative won there? And so let's talk about Trump in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin and whatnot. The thing is that there's been a shift now, and I think what Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon understands about his electorate is that that's where he has a shot at building a base in Montreal, because let's remember he only has one seat in Montreal, his own. That's it. And he won it because, under, very confusing circumstances because of the Quebec Solidaire candidate. Anyways, but let's understand here that Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon cannot just be talking about referendum when 59% of Quebecers in the latest Léger says we don't even want a referendum, and 65% are against independence.
Although it's funny because it seems to me this story's been dragging for a while, right? Every time there's a poll, with the exception of one poll, David, right? Independence has always been at around that number. Then you had Lucien Bouchard trying to throw, a softball at PSPP by saying, you know what, I've been there before you. Maybe not the best time now to be talking about this. And basically, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon said, thanks, but no thanks, don't need your advice.
Well, yeah, but that's his line because that's his base. I mean, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon came to prominence saying, I'm an absolutist on this question. And so he's not going to dial it down. He's going to actually dial it up. And also that press conference yesterday, I mean, it's a full-on attack on Quebec Solidaire also. Quebec Solidaire is attacking the PQ, saying your brand of sovereignism is not inclusive. And while ours at Quebec Solidaire brings everybody under a big tent, and Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon said, you know what, you are just desperate, and my brand of sovereignty is the one that will win out. Now remember, in '95, everybody commemorated the 30 years of the '95 referendum last week. And one thing that came out was that there was a bigger tent. There was Mario Dumont and Lucien Bouchard and Jacques Parizeau, and there was a bigger tent, and there were alliances that were made for the cause, and basically you have the two sovereignist parties right now basically saying, you know what, I don't want to have anything to do with you, and actually you're wrong, and that if the PQ ever gets to form government, which is not a given yet, but if they do form government, go on the path to a referendum, it doesn't look good in terms of aligning all the sovereignist forces in Quebec.
By the way, is Eric Duhem weighed in on this? Where's he on this with the Conservatives?
Well, Eric Duhem, I haven't seen anything about the STM strike specifically. Huh. I haven't seen him, or maybe earlier on, I think I saw something a while back where he said, he was on the side of the people on this. But the thing is that, I love the Journal de Montréal breakdown this morning. If you haven't seen it, you have to take a look at it, about all the advantages that STM employees have.
Yeah.
Like for example, if your cash, your small cash flow balances, you get a $500 bonus.
You get 9 sick days if you don't use them?
15.
They pay you.
You get
15?
3 weeks. 3 weeks, whether you take the sick days or not.
And they pay you for them if you don't take them.
Yeah, and if you come in for 3 hours, you get a full day.
What's the number to the STM, David? Do you happen to know it off the top of your head? just asking for a friend. Okay. David Heurtel. David, thank you. I appreciate it.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
Or the free iHeartRadio app.